What type of traveler are you? Knowing the answer to this question can help you create a plan for traveling with points and miles that coincides with your travel goals. Listen in as we each share the type of traveler that we are. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess. Let's talk points. All right. So, you want to travel on points, but you don't know what kind of cards you want to open. A lot of it is going to depend on your goals. We really emphasize having a strategy. Not every card is right for every person. And so there are a lot of different types of travelers, and each have their own goals. That's going to really dictate which cards you open and the strategy that you enlist for your points and miles journey. So, we're going to dive into the different types of points and miles travelers in this episode. The three of us I say like we overlap some, but we do have some things that like differentiate us from one another. So, Alex is going to kick it off and tell us what type of traveler she is.
All right. So I would definitely say that as I've been doing this, like my type of traveler, my type of points and miles traveler that I am has evolved and changed, which I think that we probably could all say that about ourselves. Like as you get deeper into this hobby, things change and you'll probably find the same for yourself too. Like you start one way and then as you learn more and as you start to like learn how the offers work and this and that, things change a little bit. But I started off and I would still say that like this is definitely part of who I still am is the planner. So as the planner, when I got started, I had specific trips in my mind that I wanted to take. And then I would figure out what cards are going to get me on that specific trip that I want to take. So in my case, it was Grand Hyatt, Kauai. I was like, I want to go there. So I made that happen. I got the cards for that, got the cards I would need for my flights. And I still do that in a sense. Like if I know like, oh, I really want to go to Bora Bora. Okay, I know I need to get some Hilton cards because the Hilton Conrad Bora Bora is the easiest hotel to book on points in Bora Bora. And so, I mean, there's not a lot of options in Bora Bora too. So that's part of it. But that's kind of how I started. But with this, I would also keep the 524 rule in the back of my mind. Like, okay, what cards am I opening? Am I opening too many personal cards? Is this going to impact my strategy later on for future trips that I want to take? So it's just really important to always keep the 524 rule in the back of your mind. Another thing that I do and did even in the beginning is keeping those limited time offers in the forefront of your mind as well. So if you're kind of opening up cards based on those limited time offers, some people will say like you have FOMO or you're chasing the deals. I would say you're earning more points than everybody. So and sorry, my voice sounds terrible. I'm like getting over this cold. So if you were like, wow, Alex doesn't sound like herself, you would be right. I don't. But yeah, so I think the key thing here is what kind of limited time offers are you chasing? If they are flexible points, then I'm going to chase flexible points because I can use those for literally like almost any kind of trip that I want to take. Now, if it's a hotel card with a limited time offer, then I might not be jumping on that hotel card because I don't have a plan of how I'm going to use it. I don't want to keep that card open and worry about like having an annual fee year after year and just like having those points just sitting there. It doesn't really make sense to me because hotel points do expire. So if I open a hotel card and then I cancel that card, my points aren't going to go anywhere, but that clock will start ticking of like, oh, maybe I have 24 months to use those points. And so I like to keep the cards open so I don't have to worry about that. But so yeah, it's just knowing like what deals am I chasing. Now, with airline co-branded cards, sometimes I'll chase those deals because I love having a stockpile with different airlines. The reason being is like, for example, going to Europe, I have flown United either to or from Europe quite a bit. Most recently, I've been flying at home. So twice this year already, I booked flights on United home from Europe and they were 40,000 points. Like that's a really good price. Gets me, I'll have a connecting flight because Salt Lake City's not a United hub. So I always have a connection. but it gets me where I need to be. And I've been able to find really good flights. So I love having a stockpile of United points. I love having a stockpile of Delta points because I'm a Delta hub. So I think whatever airline is your hub airline, it's a really good idea to have a card with that airline and one that you're going to keep for forever. Because for myself, like I like having the benefits that come with having a Delta card. So that's something to consider too. I like having a stockpile of American airline miles because they have really good partner airlines. Like if I on a whim, I'm like, you know what? There's great deals for Q Suite. I might plan a trip to Maldives, and I like to have that option for myself and not be like, oh man, there was a really great deal and I couldn't book it because I don't have the points. So honestly, for like, I think I have points with every airline. Everybody knows I love Southwest. We fly that ton with the family. So I'm going to have Southwest points too. So, I mean, the only ones I don't really have is like some of the smaller airlines. I don't have a JetBlue. I don't have JetBlue points. I have cards that can transfer to JetBlue though. So, it just depends on kind of what airlines you typically fly and things like that. And so I your goals for free travel, I think in the beginning, it's really helpful if you plan where you want to go and get the cards that get you there. Because sometimes what'll happen is people will say, oh, for example, IHG had a really great welcome offer. So I got that card. We really want to go to Hawaii. And, I have some airline miles, like maybe I have some Chase Ultimate Rewards. We're going to use that for our flights. And then I open the IHG card and then they come to find out that like IHG doesn't really have much of a footprint in Hawaii. Like
Right.
you're going to go stay at, I actually think, aren't they opening one in Kauai? I think they're opening.
I think I vaguely
I'm like
remember hearing about this.
vaguely remembering they're opening
Yeah.
one. But until that, like you're like, okay, I could stay at like a Holiday Inn Waikiki. Like you don't have a lot of options. And so that's why it's
Right.
important to kind of have a plan when you're getting going. Now, I will still do that. Like I said before, like, oh, I want to go here. I need to get that card. Like, oh, I wanted to go to the Kimpton Roatan. Okay, I better get a card that has some IHG points. But now I'm also like, okay, I have a lot of points with a lot of different people because I've been doing this a really long time. So I can kind of just book whatever I want at this point. But when it comes to those limited time offers with like hotels, I still am a planner with those. So
All right,
that's
Pam,
me.
what about you?
Okay, so I am the type A traveler, also just overachiever, has no chill. You know what? I'm
And
also
and has been since day one and has
since
no
day one.
intention of quitting that.
Yes, no. And definitely because I've done this, I'm also a luxury traveler. You're not gonna see me on Southwest very much. You're not gonna see me at a Hyatt Place very often. I mean, I'm going for the luxury, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I have a lot of points because I had no chill. So when I started this out, I was just getting
Well,
card after card after card.
and it's just you and dad. So it's not like you have
Right.
6 people you have to have points for. So you can afford to spend more points. And you're in a phase in your life where it's like you've done the economy stuff. Like it's like I kind of like that's part of the point of like the different traveler is what stage of life you're in as well. And you're in that stage of life where you can splurge, you're retired, you've worked for years and you have retirement and you have savings. So you can supplement some of your points. For example, I know you don't really use points for domestic flights very often because you want to save them for your business class flights. And so that's kind of a nice thing too, is realizing like, oh, not only do we have different travel styles or different ways of using points, but we're all in different phases of life too. And that can play a big part in what your travel style is.
Yeah, totally. But just like Alex said right from the start, I didn't even research the cards. It was like, oh, that's a good offer. I'm going to get that card, and I'm going to get this card, and then I'm going to get that card. I got a couple cards. I remember I got Avianca Life Miles. And they had a credit card. They don't even have it anymore. I had no idea how to use those, and it was
Well,
like
I remember you got that card. I was like, wait, what are you going to do with that? I mean, but the thing is, you used those points. She found a way,
Well,
like,
exactly. My goal was free travel, and it was to get all the points I could. And the interesting thing is that at this point, the 5 and 24 rule was not so strict. There were a lot of cards you could get that did come under the 5 and 24 rule. So that made it a lot easier. But what's great now is because I did this, because I got all these cards, I can make anything a possibility because I have so many points. I can go anywhere at any time because I have tons and tons of points. I actually have over 5 million points on various cards, including transferable cards, co-branded cards, both airline and hotel, and fixed currency cards. So I can make anything happen. I can make anything happen at a moment's notice. I decided, 2 weeks before I wanted to go to London. Oh, I think I'll go visit my daughter, Lindsay, in London. And I found a business class flight there and back. It was, it wasn't a problem, So something
Mhm.
comes up or I get FOMO, fear of missing out, and that's a real thing. I can book something. I will tell you a funny story though. We got a deal, a newsletter alert deal. And I just thought, "Oh, this is the best deal." It was a mistake fare or something, and it was to Brussels, and it was like 15,000 miles in business class. I thought, "I'm booking that." And so I booked it. I didn't know who I was going with. I didn't know, I didn't even stop to think about the fact that, "Oh, this is January, February. Who really wants to go to Brussels then?" And then I forgot about it. And so I'm looking on Alaska Airlines where I had booked it, and asking Jess and Alex, I go, "Do you guys remember me talking about booking a flight to Brussels? I just saw that I have a flight to Brussels. This doesn't even make sense to me."
And it
You
doesn't
know, and
sound like you.
I know.
You're
So that's where you
you
get the no chill and the FOMO. Sometimes you can
yeah.
overdo it. And so then I realized I don't want to go to Brussels at that time. So I canceled the ticket. So you have to be, if you're the type A, no chill, you're always have FOMO and you're always booking stuff, might want to take it down a notch from what I've been doing.
Well, it was so funny because it didn't sound like you because my mom is a fair weather traveler. Like, she's not gonna go places. You're leaving
Oh,
Denver in January and February to escape the cold. So you're not gonna be like, let's go to Brussels where it's gonna be a little chilly in January and February.
yeah,
So it
no,
was just so
it
funny.
totally FOMO got the best of me. But anyway, my travel plan works best for someone who's older with a little more disposable income. I don't mind paying an annual fee. I'll pay those high annual fees because I am very careful to take advantage of all the benefits. And I've got that time to make sure that I take advantage of all the benefits. I've got the time to travel. And so it just makes it works for me. I'll tell you something really crazy is that I was over 5 and 24 really quick, even though I got a lot of cards that weren't under 5 and 24. And then I heard about the Chase Sapphire Prefer card. And I go, "Oh my goodness, I've never gotten that card. That is like the best card." And so I was years without getting that card. I had to put myself on a credit card application freeze so that I could get it. So, if you're like me, you may not even want to think about the 5 and 24 rule at first. You just want to keep applying for all the credit cards that you and your spouse can apply for. That's always a possibility to be that type of traveler. To be honest, now that I've done this more I love, love, love my Chase cards. I would get all of those first, and then I would go on to being the no chill girl. So, and if you are like me too, and you are older, you have a lot of flexibility, you've done the whole budget traveler bit, you may also want to be a luxury traveler too. It's pretty nice. Just let me give you a warning. Once you go there, it's hard to go back. So that's what I have been. I've been the type A, no chill, taking, not being able to resist FOMO, and a luxury traveler. So, Jess, tell us about your style. And this is totally different. I'd say them both Alex and I. Jess has a completely different style.
I am the Travel Mom Squad earn and burn traveler. Basically, what that means is I am regularly applying for cards, getting those welcome offers, and then immediately turning around and redeeming my points for travel. I have redeemed by the end of this year, by the end of 2024, I will have probably redeemed over 1 million Hyatt points just in 2024. Granted, I
Crazy.
transfer I'm not gonna say 100%. I transfer 95% of my Chase points to Hyatt. And so, I'm not using my Chase points for flights really ever. But yeah, I have always been earn and burn, so I will never have like 4 million points and miles like Pam does. I'm also sometimes booking for 6 people, so I go through my points a little bit quicker. But I am very much of like, I have an abundance mindset, which is really hard when you first get started because you think like, oh, I'm going to open these cards and I'm going to use my points and then I'm never going to be able to redeem points for a free trip for a
That is
free trip again.
that's exactly how I was when I started was, like, literally the first trip we went on, I think we went to Hawaii, and I think we went for 4 nights because I was so stressed about using all my points.
Yeah, so I am very much like, "Oh, I'll get more points." Like, I'm not worried about never having points, I'll get more points. So, I think that is difficult for a lot of people, but I've been doing it long enough, like, I've been doing it almost a decade. So, I'm kinda like, if I were gonna run out of points, that would have happened by now. And like I said, I'm redeeming 1 million Hyatt points this year. So, like, it hasn't happened yet. And then the other thing is like, logically, I know that points devalue over time. And so points and miles is basically the opposite of investing your money. Like, you know how you hear those things like, "Oh, if you have X amount invested by the time you're 35, then like in 30 years you'll have $5 million or whatever." Okay, that's the opposite with points and miles. So like the longer that you have them just sitting there, the more the value decreases. And so it's like in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to redeem them now while they're at their highest value versus just letting them sit and devalue over time. So I think my way is the best,
You're
but
you're the
it's,
lawyer, you're thinking at things practically, you're
yeah, I
you're
definitely,
examining all the, possible logistics of it. Some of us are just a little more emotional when we use points and miles.
Well,
I'm also very much like, there's no guarantee, like, there's no guarantees in life. And so I am just gonna like redeem these points, go on these dream trips while I'm here and still kicking it. And, like I don't know if you've heard the book Die with Zero, but that's my goal. Like my goal is to die with 0 points in my account because I spent them all on amazing trips that I never thought I could take.
yeah, no, I think that's a really good way of doing it, and I have had those same thought like, when I started, like I said, I was like, "Oh, no, I can't use all my points, it's gonna be hard to get them back." So I can really feel with people who have that same concern, but like you, I've seen like, "Oh, I'll just get more points," and I know that people listening are probably like, "She redeemed 1 million Hyatt points, like, how is she gonna get more Hyatt points?" It's like, you're gonna get them again, like,
Yeah,
you're gonna replenish that stuff. You might have to get rid of some cards and open some new ones and do all of that, but you'll be able to get more. And that's the thing that I think people forget is it's not like you get this card once in your life and you can never get it again. Like you can get these bonuses again.
right. And
So
that's also like I'm booked. I'm booking trips in 2026, And
yeah.
so it's like I have lots of time to accumulate more points before I really need to like use them. So that's another thing is
Yeah, and that's a huge thing is being able to book so far ahead. Now, my problem is I have a lot of points. Like, I'm not at my mom's level, but like, I probably have a few million points sitting there, but I don't have enough time to use all my points. So I'm earning them faster than I can redeem them, which I think is pretty great because I haven't slowed down opening cards to earn points, but just with having 4 kids and their schedules and my husband's work schedule, and I don't wanna, like, be gone too much, like, without them. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna go on trips without them, and as we all know, I do. But, like, I can't redeem the points fast as I can earn them just with,
I
like,
know
time
someone who
constraints.
would be willing to, like, take some of those points off
Heck
your
no.
hands if you really don't have any use for them.
No, it's like I got 3 Hyatt no, 2 Hilton free night certificates that I'm like, "These are gonna be expiring later this in, like, next summer. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna use these because 'cause I've already have, like, other stays booked with
Yeah.
Hilton, and it's just sometimes finding the time to make I mean, this is what I'm gonna say, it is a good I am happy to have this problem. It is a good problem to have more points than you know what to do with because you don't have enough time to use them all.
All right, Pam, tell us. So there's a few other types of travelers that none of us really identify with, but that a lot of our audience does identify with. And so give us a little recap of a few other types of travelers.
Yeah, and this probably isn't all inclusive of all travelers. And, we always say, you do you. So there isn't a wrong or right way of doing
I've got a
anything.
bracelet on that says "You do you" that Tracy, our copy editor, made, and I'm wearing it right now.
Nice. Yeah, because that really is what we really do believe that. So, you may look at what we do and think, oh, I need to be that type of traveler. You don't need to be. Points and miles can help you be whatever type of traveler you want to be, and you just make it work for you. One of the type of travelers is someone who has no desire to go travel internationally. They don't care about going overseas. They just want to see all of the United States. They just want to visit their family. They want to take their family on a trip in the United States. That's great. And points and miles can definitely help a person do that. Chase is a great option for getting that. Having cards that earn ultimate rewards is a super idea because of the domestic travel partners for Chase, like Southwest, United, JetBlue. We love Hyatt, obviously, and you can just get a lot of travel by concentrating on that. So that is, the type of traveler, maybe that's you. And we applaud that. That's great. Another type of traveler is the road tripper. I've got friends who will not get on an airplane. They absolutely hate to fly. They're not going to do that. And so they may think, well, then this hobby isn't for me. This doesn't do anything for me. But, you know, if you're a road tripper, if you're taking a road trips, you're in the car all the time, you still have to have a place to lay your head down at night. So in this case, you want to concentrate on all the great co-branded credit cards like Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, and IHG. You can get a ton of free nights. And I know with Alex, they have done tons of free nights for following their boys around with sports. Maybe that's all you want to do. Maybe you've got kids that play sports and travel around, and you are tired of paying $200, $300 every night to watch your kids play sports. Being a road tripper or concentrating on those co-branded hotel cards would be a great thing for you.
Yeah, we recently had a meetup with some of our students from a World Travel Academy and World Travel Academy Next Level. And that's what one of the moms was saying. She's like, we haven't done any big trips or anything, but we have saved so much money by using points for hotel stays for my kids' sports. And that is amazing. Like, I always feel like like everybody should at least be doing that. Like when I go on these trips with, the teammates of my kids, I'm like, I don't say this to them because 'cause I'm like, I don't wanna be annoying, but I'm like, "They should really be using points." Like, they'll be like, "Oh, where are you guys staying?" And we're like, "Oh, we're just staying at the Hyatt place," or, "Oh, we're staying at Spring Hill Suites, like, we got it for free." And they'll be staying, like, maybe they got a VRBO, which is really nice, they have the space, but they're paying probably, you know, $1,500 for it or something like that, and so I think that's a really great type of traveler. If you're just like, I just want to get sports costs covered for my kids traveling, then that is fantastic.
Yeah, agree. Sometimes I look at all those families, I go, how do they afford to do this? I never could have afforded to follow my kids all around, but
Well,
points and
and
miles does make it
they'll
really.
have multiple kids doing it too. It's not just they have like one
Yes.
kid they're following around. They've got 3 or 4.
Yeah, crazy. One of the things, like for me, as they've said, is that I don't use points and miles for my domestic travel because I really want to save those points and miles for travel internationally. But for a lot of people, they don't want to pay for anything. They don't want to pay for those domestic flights. They don't want to have to pay for their rental cars. And for us, we really don't use points and miles for our rental cars. We will just pay for them because we feel like we get more bang for our buck by using it on just hotels and flights. But if you want to concentrate on being able to travel for as free as possible, it's totally possible. You may want to concentrate on Capital One miles because you're able to erase your travel purchases that aren't covered by points. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you can do, and we applaud you too.
I feel like too, it depends on the types of trip people are taking. Like, I know a lot of people who every year they're going to Disneyland with their family, and that is their idea of vacation. That is their favorite thing to do. And so getting Capital One points and erasing the purchases for their Disney tickets makes sense for them. Doesn't make sense for me, but that doesn't mean it's like the right or wrong way to do it. And so that's like, I think the hope from this episode for all of us is that you realize, oh, it doesn't matter how I do this. There's so many different ways, and just to make it work for your lifestyle and the travel that you want.
And I jokingly said that earn and burn was the best way. That was a joke. I was just trying to rile up Alex and Pam. But I agree that there are okay, so we've listed, I think, 6 or 7 types of travelers. It was not an exclusive list. And like Alex said, there's not one right or wrong way. We just want you to try and identify what type of traveler you are so that you can strategize accordingly. I know that a lot of times people see us and they see the trips we're taking and they're like, "Oh, I need to be like them." Reminder, we've been doing this a very long time. The type of traveler I am has evolved. I didn't start out that way. I started out in the get as much free as possible traveler type. We did not have the budget. Like, points and miles literally allowed us to travel. Otherwise, we would not travel at all. And so that's how I started out. I have evolved over time. So pick the traveler type and the strategy that works for you and realize that it might change.
So each of us, as you've seen, has a different lifestyle. Each of us is a different type of traveler or has been a different type of travel. Each of us may be at a different point in our lives. Nearly free travel is attainable for all, though. Are you ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to register for our free webinar, How to Get Your Next Vacation for Nearly Free. We'll see you in there.
Thanks so much for listening to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Mom Squad. We can't wait to see where in the world points and miles take you.